There are 5 levels of growth that every business owner should master, and each of these 5 levels leads to different results. Unfortunately, most founders that I work with are stuck in the first few levels of growth. They're spinning their wheels, feeling overwhelmed, and completely frustrated because all their hard work isn't the growth they want. And I get it. I was like this when I was with O'Hare CrossFit until I understood how to identify which level of growth my business was actually in and what problems I needed to solve to level up. Once I learned this, I scaled and sold 4 companies, and now I help other businesses do the same. In this video, I'll break down the 5 levels every business must master, from barely surviving to becoming a hands-off company that runs without you. If you're hitting a ceiling and aren't sure what's next, this framework will show you exactly where you are and what it takes to level up. All right, before we get into the first level, I want to give a big shout out to Mark Abbott, who translated Elliot Jack's work into these 5 levels. He's the founder of 90, a company that I'm a coach that I'm certified with. This is an amazing system. All love to Mark Abbott. For the levels of development, we're going to be measuring them against 4 different types of criteria. The first is time horizon. How far out in the future is the founder thinking? Day to day, week to week, 10 years, 5 years? How far out are they at that point? The next is the goal. What's the key goal to focus on at that stage? Third is structure. What is your organizational structure? What does your team look like at that point? And fourth, what are the key indicators that you know that's going on so that you are ready to advance to the next level? All right, so level one in every business is survive. I'm sure that makes a lot of sense to everybody, but level 1 is survival, right? We just got to see if we could survive and make it another day. Now, when I'm talking about time horizon, I'm talking about the founder's vision, how far out they're thinking, right? Now, in survive, level 1, you're thinking day to day and week to week, very short time horizon. You're just trying to make it the next day, the next week, trying to move the company forward inch by inch and just trying to make it happen. Now, your key goal is something that's called product market fit. Is there a market for what we're trying to sell, or what do we need to tweak with our product or service so that the market wants it? You're just testing this out to figure out if people want what you have to sell. As far as structure goes in the company right now, there is no structure, right? All hands on deck. Everyone that's there is doing everything. There's probably a founder, maybe a co-founder, and a couple generalists. Most of the time, a couple buddies or friends that believe in your crazy idea at this point. To advance, to move forward in the next level, to get going, what you need to do is you need to have capital, right? So you need to have some idea of where you're getting some money. Now, that could either be from customers or investors, right? Either way. But now we need to know that we have some money coming in so that we could advance. All right, that's the key in this survival stage. Can we start generating some money in here? You probably don't know your ideal customer yet. You're still figuring that out. You're figuring out product market fit, but you're starting to make some sales and you're getting some things going. Your biggest enemy here as a founder right now is distraction. You need to stay focused on this product market fit and making it work, and not trying to tweak too much and playing out your ideas and seeing how they work. Your biggest win is doing the right work in the right order. And that starts with product market fit. I have an idea. Do people want to buy this idea? Is this useful? Is this going to solve a problem? Now, level 1, depending on where you're at in your company, this could just be a few months of work, maybe a little bit longer if you're building something bigger that requires investors, you're pitching them and things like that. But level 1 is just getting your grind on. Level 1 for me was actually just training people outside in a park. I didn't have a place to train people. I had some medicine balls, I had some bands, I had some equipment. I would bring it to a park and I would just train people. And I was just trying to figure out, do people want to buy what I'm selling? Am I selling the right product, right? I was tweaking how I was training people to figure out if this was effective and if this is what people wanted. And then once I was able to figure this out, that people were buying from me, then I was ready for level 2, and that's coming up next. Okay, level 2. Now, when you get to level 2, things shift. Not a lot, but they're starting to take form, okay? Your time horizon, where the founder's thinking, right? Because in this level system, one of the biggest factors to know what level you're at is to know your time horizon. How far out in the future are you thinking, right? And so a time horizon for us here in a founder is 3 to 12 months in level 2. So no more are you just thinking day to day, week to week. Now you're thinking a few months out, maybe a half a year or even a full year, depending on how well you have product market fit. So you're able to think farther out, make bigger plans, plan to build and bigger things. The key goal here, guys, in this one is to stabilize. Now you know you have some money coming in. Now we have to figure out how to repeat our processes, how to get things moving, how to make more sales. We got to dial this all in and really stabilize the company. As far as structure goes, well, in that first level, we had no structure. But now we're starting to implement a structure, right? We're starting to bring people in. This is when you're making your first hires, right? Your first hires for sales, marketing, or maybe operations. Now the founder is still heavily involved in all of these, right? You're still really involved, but you're starting to bring on some, what I like to call doers, some people that could implement things and do things for you and take some work off your plate. You're still meeting with them, you're still overseeing them, but you have some people that could just take a little bit of workload off your plate, which is really, really nice. Now to advance, we got to keep the sales flow going, right? Cash is king. We got to make sure that now we're repeating sales, we're executing more, we're getting things going more. Next, your marketing. Right now at this stage, you should start realizing how your marketing is going to look. It should start taking a little bit of shape. Maybe you're starting to understand your ideal customer, who you're serving, getting a little more clear on the problem you solve, why you solve it, all of that good stuff, and even how you solve it. You're able to put that into your marketing, right? And now also too, you're understanding the roles. This is how you know that you're advancing in your company. You know what you need in your company to grow, right? And so just take a look at this and think, if I'm a founder and I'm really good at sales and marketing, but I'm not great at operations, right? Well, maybe my first hire is to bring on an ops person to start helping me fulfill things so I could focus more on sales and marketing. That's why I said understanding of roles. It's starting to take shape. These people aren't actually, specialists just yet. Maybe they're your friends or somebody that knows someone, but everything is starting to take shape in the company. Now, your biggest enemy at this point is control. Now, you're not ready to completely let go of the reins, but you're ready to start letting go of control. So you need to focus on hiring people and trusting them to do the right things so that you could focus on the other things that matter and you could start focusing on a longer time horizon. And your biggest win is building systems and processes that work without you. This is when we need to start documenting, right? Because we're bringing on these first hires and now we're making sure that, man, they know what to do. We're getting some processes documented. They're not perfect by any means, but there's some idea of how we do things in our company. If you're curious about what level you're at and just wondering, okay, Angelo, I don't know what level for sure I'm at. I could be in level 2, maybe I'm in level 3. Don't worry, we got your back. We created a quiz. Click the link below and find out what level you're at and what you need to be doing to advance to the next level, because that's what this is all about. Every level of the game has certain things you need to do to get past to go higher. And sometimes you're working on things that you should be doing at level 4, but you're really on level 2 and you need to be solving level 2 problems. So click the link below and let's get you straight on what you need to be doing so you're not spinning your wheels and you can be focused on your company. All right, level 3 is scale. This is my favorite level of all of them. So time horizon for the founder, how far out are you thinking? Man, now you're going a little bit farther out. Now you're thinking 1 to 2 years. Now you're really making plans. You're thinking about investments in the company, investments in people, where you're going to be spending your time, where this company's going to be in 2 years. Is there going to be any more innovation in the company? Now you're really free to think about that stuff because you have other people thinking about the day-to-day and week-to-week stuff. So that frees you up to think in this longer time horizon. All right, now we're focused in level 2. Our key goal is intentional growth in all departments, okay? So what this means, intentional growth in all departments. So now you're thinking, okay, now I'm ready to grow this company. Now I need people that are a sales leader. I need a marketing leader. I need an ops leader. I need someone that understands finance. Now you're starting to put specialized people inside of this company. That's the key goal here. You want great people owning their zones of excellence. You want people really that know how to build out sales processes, sales playbooks, how to drive sales forward so that one day that they could run the department for you and train and develop people. Same goes for marketing and operations. Now you're making some good hires here. Now I'll be really honest with you. This is the conversations that I usually have with founders at stage 3. Your cousin Frank, the guy that came on with you that did operations but has no operations experience, but he's your operator, This is when those conversations need to start happening, that Frank may not be a great fit for you, or your mom can't be doing the books for you anymore. You have a real company now. Money's coming in, and it's starting to really focus on having senior leaders in the company, okay? So your structure now is you're having senior leaders. You're starting to add a layer under you, right? So you have the founder, now you have some leadership here, and then they're starting to bring some people under them. This is when this is really happening. That's why intentional growth is so important. Like I gave you that analogy, your cousin Frank might be a great guy and I love him, but is he really excellent at moving forward a whole department? I don't know. That's for you to decide. That's just an example I see a lot of times when I'm working with companies. Their friend or their cousin or something along those lines is running a department for them. And we just have to be honest that in order for us to move through level 3 and scale, they are not going to be the right fit for the company. To advance in this, you got to have great people. And I talked about this in another video I have. The great people have 4 C's. They're a core value fit, they're a capacity fit, they're a competency fit, and a commitment fit. They are all good in all of those. You're really starting to build this. And the goal is to have 90 to 95% the right people, okay? You got to make sure that you have the right people in the right seats that are focused on their 90-day goals, or what we like to call as rocks. This is when that all starts taking shape, okay? And that you're thinking out 1 to 2 to 3 year goals. You're thinking farther time horizon, and you got great people that you could trust focusing on 90 days. For most of my clients, this is the stage where we implement an intentional business operating system, because it's time now to really organize this company, create structure, make sure our processes are in order, make sure our goals are clear. We have a clear structure of how things are going to go. We have a meeting cadence. This is, to me, in the stage when you really need to be legit. And you got to level up your company to grow, because no longer can you be having ad hoc meetings and worrying about this. You have smart people doing the right things, and you're empowering them and giving them all the tools that they need. Your biggest enemy as a founder in this stage is being the bottleneck. Because in level 1 and level 2, you had to have your hands in everything. You were doing everything. You knew a little bit about everything. You were totally functioning there. But now that's actually causing the biggest problem in your business. When I work with founders, when we're in this stage, we're implementing the business operating system. This is the biggest thing I work with founders, is that right now you become the bottleneck. You're the problem. And that's so hard for us to think. And we probably spent a year or so, maybe 2 years, getting to this level. And so we're so used to being in everything, and we're so used to knowing everything and being on top of everything. But what happens is these senior leaders that you have, you start undercutting them. You start stepping over them to go below here because you're so used to it. And that's the biggest habit to break in founders. So that's the biggest enemy for you in this stage. And your biggest win is letting go and empowering others. These senior leaders, you have to empower them. You have to trust them. And that's why you have to be making sure to advance to the next level that you have great people that you could trust. So ask yourself right now in this stage, if you feel like you're out 1 to 2 years, but you're still focused on the day-to-day and all of that stuff, it's probably because you don't have great people. Back to that reference, your cousin Frankie, got to have that hard conversation with them so that you can move to level 4. But that's level 3 scale, and that's what we need to do to advance. All right, level 4, succeed. Now this is a great level to be at, right? When I was building my gym, right, I started out in the park. Then once I knew that I had a decent customer base, I rented a racquetball court space, which was my level 2, and I turned that into a little training studio. And we built up a good clientele there, built up a solid base, did that for about 10 months. Then I opened up O'Hare CrossFit, opened that up, still was in that level 2-ish kind of way, started making a few hires, kind of peaking into level 3. And then after 2013, we grew, we moved into a new location, and I got into this succeed stage. And I'm going to tell you why I got into this succeed stage. First, I was able to think in a longer time horizon, 2 to 5 years, right? So I knew where this business was going, how much revenue we were going to make. I had really good confidence in the vision. That way it took us from a 2,500 square foot location to 5,500 square feet, because I saw the vision. I knew that we could build into this and grow into this location. All right. And this is the other reason for my growth. The key goal is operational excellence. I was firing on all cylinders. Our sales were dialed in. Our marketing was dialed in. Our operations were dialed in. Everything had a process. People knew what they needed to do. It was really important. And By this time, I was able to hire experts in every seat. So no longer was I just having someone to do me a favor, help me out with marketing or any of that. No, I had a real marketer pumping out our marketing. I knew that I could invest in this because we had a bigger vision. And right now where we were isn't the end game. It was where we're going that I was excited about. So I was willing to invest in those extra seats, making sure that everyone had a good core competency. They knew what they were doing. Everybody understood what was going on in the company. Now, the biggest thing to advance in this stage is the founder's confidence. And why do I say the founder's confidence? It's the confidence in their vision, right? Do you really believe in this 2 to 5 year vision? That's how you know you're ready to advance. Next thing is do you have any non-confidence in any of your people? You need to fix that before you can advance. Some of you guys are out there right now trying to run and gun and build these big companies, but then when you look at your team, your heart sinks because you know they're not the right people. You're still in doer mode instead of architect mode and empowerment mode. You have to really be thinking about that at this stage, okay? Now, also too, you are really thinking about leadership, right? Because now at this stage, you're building an army, right? You need to be developing people, meeting them where they're at, and making sure they're there. So we got this long time horizon. The goal is operational excellence. You have a great culture. You have a compelling why. You know your ideal customer. You know what makes you unique in the marketplace. This is when we really own ourselves. This is when we really get a sense for ourselves. This kind of reminds me of the Chicago Bulls. You know, I'm from Chicago, so it reminds me of the Chicago Bulls. Michael Jordan in the 80s, late 80s, had all those battles with the Pistons, and he was in level 2 and level 3. But then when he got and played the Lakers in 91, after going through all that, he knew that he was ready to succeed. He had the confidence in himself going through all that with the team, Scottie Pippen and Horace Grant and Phil Jackson, that he was ready to move forward. That's that same kind of feeling that you need to have here. So it's about your people and your vision. Are you confident in that? If so, great, you're ready to move forward. If not, you need to fix it. And if you haven't taken the quiz yet, double check and see where you're at. A lot of times people may be a level 3 in some things, but maybe a level 2 in other areas. So it's good to know if you're ahead in some, but there's some areas that are lagging, and those are probably the ones why you haven't been growing. So click the link below and take that quiz so you can figure out what level of development you're really at. All right, level 5 company. This is it. This is the pinnacle, right? This is the steward stage, right? So first, your time horizon here as the visionary founder now is 5 to 10 years. You made it. You're officially Steve Jobs-like, right? You're thinking out far in the future, where things are going to take place, what's going to happen. Your mind is in such a higher level place than 1 year goals, than even 3 year goals, and even 90 days and day to day like you were in level 1. You're thinking so far on in advance, people might think you're just a little crazy, but that's okay. That's your time horizon, all right? Now your key goal here is your long-term vision and value creation. Because now this company is a real asset. You have built this thing right. You went through all your stages one by one. You've hired smart people. You built processes. You built in your business operating system. This company is growing without you. Your job is to just put this vision out there and empower your C-suite and your high-level people to make sure that they're still moving forward and doing everything that you need to do. All right, the structure for this company right now, you're fully systemized. And my favorite part, the founder is optional. All right, you are no longer so needed in this structure, right? The founder's optional. You did it. To me, this is the goal, right? That you could enjoy yourself. And so for me in my journey, okay, so 2013, I was in level 3, level 4, 2014, all that, I started figuring this out. Now, granted, I didn't know what level I was really in until I looked back. I figured this all out in about 2014. Once I figured out in 2014, 2015, I was able to go back and fix all the little mistakes that I was making. But then by 2016, 2017, I didn't really need to be there anymore in that business. That's why I went and started other businesses. That's why I went and traveled. I traveled the world for a couple years and had a great time, started 3 other businesses in that period too, because I wasn't so much in the day-to-day. I know that was going right. I was just getting KPI reports and data, showing up for some bigger planning meetings, making sure my senior leaders were okay. And I was making sure to take care of them financially and incentively so that they could be who they needed to be for me, so I wasn't there. So don't skimp on your talent, guys. Make sure you're taking care of your good people. So your structure's there, the founder's optional. You know where you are. There really isn't an advance here, but you really know that you're here. What you want to start thinking about is your legacy and your impact, right? You're thinking a lot farther here. And also too, the biggest thing that you know in this company is that you could sell your company. You no longer just have a business, you have a company. You have a real asset that people want to buy. You have a machine. You've built freedom. This is what this level 5 steward is all about. If you know, you would know if you're in this stage, if you're there. Your biggest enemy in this stage is ego. And that makes a lot of sense. Why? Because God dang it, you built this company. You should have a little bit of an ego. I mean, come on, you put in all this work, you built all this, but now your ego could hold against you, okay? And your biggest win is getting out of your own way and multiplying your impact, just empowering people. Still, now it's on overdrive because you don't need to do any quote unquote work. It's about just helping people advance. And so if you made it to this stage, this is where you could sell your companies. And for me, the end of 2019 into 2020, I sold all my businesses and we were able to keep going. Great news, all the businesses are still alive. So I guess I did something right along this journey because I knew what level I was at and I knew what problem to solve. Again, if you haven't taken that quiz, you don't know what you're doing, you don't know where your bottlenecks are, you don't know where your issues are, click that link below, take this quiz, start figuring out what level you're at. It's just like a video game. You can't be trying to beat level 10 if you're only at level 1. You got to focus on level 1. So don't get ahead of yourself. Know where you're at. It's just a starting point and start working to move forward over there to build a level 5 company that could live without you, that you could sell, that you could hand off to the next generation. Take these levels and run with them. I promise you they'll change your business and outlook on what problems you need to solve.